feminism. They were like, that was the workshop that I was the most interested in, or like
Yeah. All right, that sounds awesome. Yeah, I really did enjoy that one as well. Like, I really
I'm
like.
sorry to cut you off, Amal, but our guest has now joined us. So
Awesome.
Most welcome.
So I think, yeah, I'll just quickly make him a co-host and spotlight him. Just give me 1 second. Okay, thank you so much for coming. So now we'll be moving on to our next session, and we'll be hearing a keynote from the one and only Mr. Khalifa Al Haroon, the CEO and founder of I Love Qatar. We are so grateful to have you joining us, and we're so excited to be hearing what you have to say. So I'll pass the floor over to you now.
Hey everyone, how are you doing? I hope you're doing great. Sorry for the slight technical difficulty, but I did get the link and now I'm here. Oh, Mohammed wants to enter the room. Should we let him in? All right. So thank you very much to everyone that is being a part of this. And I think you've heard from a lot of different individuals. And I think it's pretty awesome to see what you guys have all put together. I'm sorry, everything looks barren and maybe we don't have the best setting right now, but that's because I'm moving into a new place. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to quickly go ahead and share my screen. Again, if anybody wants to say anything, of course, please feel free, to either, raise your hand or let me know, and let's have a conversation together. And what I'm going to be doing today is the title of this is, related to how we get a million, we make a million, and how we help a million. It's all about that million. But hopefully you'll like how we get to the end of the story. So I'm going to be sharing with you what I've gone through. So let me just go ahead and share the screen. I'm going to go ahead and share this. And we're going to go into presentation mode. So can you just confirm if somebody could just nod your head if you could see the presentation full screen? Yes? Okay. So first of all, what we're going to be doing is talking about the journey of I Love Qatar and the network and everything that's been going on. Now, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Khalifa Al Haroon, also known as Mr. Q, your friendly neighborhood Qatari. And the entire subject is literally about, how I got to where I am today. And hopefully that helps you figure out what you want to do with your lives as well. Because I can tell you, when I first got started, I didn't know what I was going to do. I'm here today having the privilege and honor, to talk to you all. So I never expected, that I would go ahead and become a YouTuber. I just simply thought, just go ahead and create some fun content. In fact, when I first got started, when I first graduated, I think from high school, my father asked me, said to me, Khalifa, what do you want to do with your life? And I said, Dad, I want to be the first Qatari in Hollywood. That was my dream. That's what I wanted to do. And that's when my dad basically put his hand on my shoulder and said to me, Khalifa, you're an idiot. You're going to do something real with your life and you're going to get a real job. So I said, okay, I guess I'm going to go get a real job. So what I did is at school, they gave us something known as an aptitude test. And I thought that was going to help guide me, let me know what I'm good at. And basically what came out of it was I could do things, such as become, a doctor. I could do something such as, get into engineering, computer science. It didn't really help me, just gave me like a vague bunch of answers. And I went to my guidance counselor and I said, hey, what's going to make me the most money? So he said, obviously, you can be a surgeon. And he basically, I didn't want to be a surgeon because I've got a thing with blood. If I see blood, it's going to make me faint. And then he said to me, well, you could always try law. I said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to enter into law because as a lawyer, that's the closest thing to acting I'm ever going to get, acting in front of a jury and sharing that story and hopefully, making a difference to someone. So I ended up going off to the UK where I ended up pursuing my law degree. So I have an LLB in law. Worked on a number of different cool projects. And when I came back, the first thing that I did was, or actually, before I say coming back, I said, while I was in university, there were always three questions, that people would always ask me when I got to meet people. The first question would be, what's your name? Khalifa. Where are you from? Qatar. Where's Qatar? And so the first time, second time, third time, I'm more than happy to let people know where Qatar is. And there was always two things, right? If you said to them, oh yeah, it's near Saudi Arabia, they'd be like, oh, it's really strict there. Or if I said, it was next to Dubai, they'd be like, oh, cool, Dubai. But nobody actually really knew Qatar. And it started to frustrate me. It's like, why don't more people know? And of course, one of the things that helped us, is obviously the Asian Games, of course, getting the World Cup, a number of really cool international projects, Al Jazeera, forming. So there were so many different things that were happening. People were starting to hear about Qatar in the very beginning. So one day when I was sitting in the university campus, I had a really bad day. My professor wasn't cool, okay? My professor would literally tell me, hey, yeah, we can meet after class, and then ditch me. I would sit outside and be like, hey, what's going on? I need to understand what's happening. Yeah, he just didn't really care. So I was in a bad mood. And so one day, someone comes up to me, a Japanese girl, and again, she's like, hi, how are you doing? What's up? And everything. And she says to me, hey, so where are you from? And I said, Qatar. And she said, where's Qatar? And then the first time in my life, I said, Google it. And that was the day that I discovered that when you tell a Japanese person to do something, they're going to go and do it. So a couple of days later, she comes back and she says to me, Khalifa, I Googled it. I couldn't really find much. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? So I went on to Google, and it was true. There wasn't really a lot of information. In fact, there was an article that was created by Lonely Planet that had said Qatar is one of the most boring places on earth. They also said some other stuff. They had even written that make sure you boil the water before drinking it and watch out for the meat. I'm thinking, when did these people come to Qatar? Like in the 1800s? Like, how did this happen? And so I decided I was going to create a website. So I went and I created I Love Qatar to answer people's questions about what was going on in the country. And I didn't realize that in 3 months, I would get 400,000 views. So people were like, hey, I need to know about what's happening in your country. And when I came back after graduating from university, I decided to focus on the project. It was a passion project. I really wanted it to happen. And I thought, you know what, let me just see what I can do. I ended up joining a bank, the Shard of Glass in London, one of the tallest buildings, if not the tallest building in Europe. So I worked on that project to help bring the financing so we could build that. I got to work on projects like the world's largest IPO at the time. That was with Vodafone. I got to work on some really amazing things that I feel like when you're a young person, fresh graduate, only in Qatar could you work on these types of things. But again, I Love Qatar was always in the back of my mind. So let me just go ahead and tap. Today, despite some of the difficulties and what I've gone through, now I've passed actually over 5 million subscribers and followers, and I'm going to share a little bit more about how I got to that point. So at the end of the day, it always starts with an idea. The issue is, and this is something that we have in our country, in this part of the world, is everybody's got a great idea. But one, nobody wants to share it because everybody's worried about somebody stealing their idea. And two, nobody really does anything. Everybody's just got this super master plan. So the way that I see it, and this is my frame of thought, I try my best to work as fast as possible on a project, whether it's going to succeed or not. I just really have to just try it just to get it out of my system. And two, if somebody copied what I did or did what I said I was going to do, all that means is that I wasn't fast enough. Simple as that. So I encourage people, to try and take their ideas and just give it a go. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes you'll be really surprised with what you're able to achieve. So I had this idea that I wanted to go ahead and create with I Love Qatar a website or a network that was going to support the community. I wanted to use my money to support charities and the community was helping to grow. I wanted to give people a voice. I wanted to answer people's questions. There were so many things that I just wanted to do. And I knew that through this platform, that's how I was going to do it. So again, if you've got this idea and you just keep it inside, there is no power to that idea if it just stays inside of you. I'm going to share a couple of quotes from individuals, and hopefully, this gives you some ideas. This is something, Steve Jobs said, your time is limited. Don't waste it living someone else's. Sometimes what we end up doing is doing things for people. We decide a future based on what our parents say, our friends say. Like we choose their path instead of doing what it is that we want to do. And whilst most people have good intentions, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is the thing that you need to be doing. By the way, my family were totally against, what I was doing, with I Love Qatar and on YouTube. They said it was a waste of time. And then I managed to change their views, and I'll talk about that later on. Here's another quote. Some of you might recognize this dude, one of the most subscribed to people on YouTube. This guy also says the same thing. He says, life's too short to spend it on things you hate. How many times have we done things that we don't like doing, and at some point within the process of doing it, we ask ourselves, like, why am I here? And it's funny that we only ask ourselves that question after we've done the things we hate doing. Whether it's a subject in class that you hate, whether it is a task or a part-time job that you hate. All I'm trying to say is sometimes you got to do those things. Sometimes there are those exceptions where you got to do it just so that you can learn, you can expand your horizons, so that you can also know the things that you do like, because you don't know what you hate until you do it, right? Or until you find out about it. So what I'm saying is that when you do know about it, you do know what you hate, stop doing it. I think everybody will know this gentleman, His Highness, and he gave a really fantastic quote, which was literally, we don't live on the margins of life. We don't go wandering without a destination. So it's basically pick the path that you want to have, and then just do it. Quoting Nike right now. Just do it. So sometimes you have like these really cool ideas that you want to do, but not a lot of people get what it is that you're trying to achieve. Have you ever had that? Like you're trying to explain something, you just go back to your room, you're like, nobody gets me. Nobody understands what it is that I'm trying to do. And this is what happened with me. When I walked in to a meeting room and I wanted to get some funding so I could secure, so I could grow I Love Qatar and turn into a real business, despite what it is today. I remember sitting in this room where there was lots of businessmen, millionaires, and they had said to me, Khalifa, so what is it that you're trying to do? I said, I want to create the largest website in Qatar or in the world related to Qatar. They said, yeah, but there's already a lot of websites out there. I'm like, yeah, there'll be one more, and mine is going to be the best. They said, well, what do you mean? I mean, there are other people that were before you. I said, guys, we have a problem in this part of the world where people are so obsessed with being first. Everybody wants to build wants to be first, with building or creating a special project. You want to build the tallest tower, the fastest train. What I'm saying is throw all of that aside and start focusing, not being first, but being the best. That's what I wanted to do. Again, people just couldn't get it. People were also telling me, Khalifa, you wanted to support charities. I said, yes, I want to support the community, because as I support the community, I help them out. They end up trusting the website even more. They visit more. I get more impressions. More impressions means more views. It means more revenue I can generate, off of the ads that I have, which means I can give back to the community. It was a really awesome circle. And you know what they asked me? They said to me, Khalifa, you got to decide. Are you a business or are you a charity? And I remember thinking, okay, am I a business or am I a charity? Am I a business or am I a charity? Until it just clicked. Who says I have to choose whether it's a business or a charity? Just some dudes sitting on a table just because they're millionaires and I need them, like they decide? No. So I said, thank you very much. And I walked out the room. They just didn't understand. And sometimes they won't, and sometimes people just don't understand until they see it, until they see you living, your idea. So what I'm here to say is that sometimes, well, something that I've learned, as I got older was, it's not about changing what you say, it's changing how you say it. How many times have you been in a situation, you've been in a room and you're trying to explain something to someone and they don't get it, so you end up saying something completely different just to get them on your side? You don't have to do that. You just need to change how you say what you're trying to say. And the way that you do that is just a really awesome model. This is known as the Insights Discovery Profile. If you haven't heard about this is something fantastic. Obviously, there are so many more colors, to the spectrum, but this is just a very simplified version. This helps you understand the personality of the person that you are talking to, so that you know how you can change their minds. So we're going to go through this in just in a quick example, and hopefully this gives you some ideas. And this is why today a lot of people either enjoy my content, or as a businessman, I've managed to convince a lot of people to invest in my projects. Let me start with the yellows, because I'm a yellow, and sometimes you're a mix of multiple colors. You have a predominant color, and then you have like another color that's usually associated with it. So I'm a strong yellow with a light red. Someone who's a yellow is someone who typically works in marketing, someone who typically works on the creative side. These are people who are social, they're excited, they're usually quite persuasive, they're really great with communication, and yeah, you're enthusiastic. So that's typically why they love working like in a marketing department. Their goal at the end of the day is to make things happen, do something really cool, so that they can go and party later on. Want to go and party. These are the yellows. Then you've got the greens. The greens are typically people who end up working in organizations, that are more people-centric. Maybe if you're looking at a department, you're looking at maybe HR. Maybe you're looking at someone who's working on psychology. These are people who are caring. They're sharing. They're usually very patient. I'm sure you know one of these people. They talk real calm. They're all cool. They're telling me, hey, let me share. Why don't you share a little bit about what you did? Like, they really have this type of really relaxing vibe to them. Then you've got reds. Reds are typically people who are either, I don't know, maybe CEOs, maybe they're an executive, maybe they're working on, competitive analysis, because they are competitive. They are demanding, they're strong-willed. Sometimes people will misunderstand their passion for anger. And then you have people who are in the blues. Blues are analytical individuals, think legal, think finance, These are people who are cautious, precise, they'll ask a lot of questions, They're usually quite formal. And this is because they thrive on data. Now, why am I sharing these colors? This will help you. Once you start classifying people and you understand these a little bit, clearly, these different colors, you will start understanding how to change the way you say something so that you can convince them, you can get them on your side, and so that you can help them to understand. So let's use a quick example, okay? We've all heard the example of try to sell me this pen, right? We've all heard it, but maybe you haven't heard it when it comes to the color spectrum. So if I was gonna go to someone who was a blue, I would simply say, the cost of this pen is 0.2 dirhams or 0.2 riyals. If we go ahead and we purchase these pens, not only will it increase the profit that we are currently generating from our business by 20%, but it will actually potentially increase, productivity to the tune of generating us, 10 million riyals. So you're giving them data, you're giving them numbers, you're explaining to them, the technical aspect of the pen. So blue is like, okay, I get it. I see the numbers there. If you were going to talk to a green, again, don't forget, they're very empathetic individuals. Usually they're sharing. I would go to that person. I would say, hey, see this pen over here? I feel, that's a key word, right? I feel that this is something that is essential to making my work in this organization better. If we made sure that we got a type of pen that not only feels good in the hands, but I think it'll actually show that we are giving our employees something that's higher quality and that we care about them. See, now a green, you're using those triggers, to a green. If I was going to a red, I would say, listen, this pen over here is something that we really need because the guys in the other organizations, they're using much better tools than we are. We need to upgrade. We need something better so that we can be better than them. We can challenge them. And if we do this, trust me, I'll tell you what, I'll put my neck on the line. This is what we need. Red is like, okay, I got you. Then when it goes to a yellow, I would say, probably go to a yellow and say, listen, this pen, nobody really cares about it. But if we get it, we can finish our work and we can go and party. So let's get this done. So again, it really depends. I'm not saying this is the right way to speak to every individual, but it really depends on who you're talking to. So you change how you say it. So start recognizing a person's color, and that'll definitely help you be more persuasive. However, having said that, sometimes regardless of trying to convince someone, they still won't understand. So let me show you something. Sometimes you don't want to just say it, you want to show it. I think you guys had a talk with a dear friend of mine, Hamid Al-Amari, the comedian. Have you, who's attended? Yeah, I see you guys nodding. How do you explain this? How do you go to your dad and say, listen, Dad, I'm going to get on a camel and go to Burger King? You can't. So what happened with this is once this was done, not only did this go viral globally, we're talking about millions and millions of views, but people automatically took a totally different perspective of Qataris because everybody thought the Qataris are unapproachable, maybe they don't know how to communicate, they're not happy. But when people saw this, they thought, wow, actually, we're wrong. We managed to change the world's perception based on this action. And then once the results came out and everyone was like, wow, look, the people in Qatar are really friendly. They're pretty funny. Then the people who couldn't understand why we were trying to do this understood it. They were like, now I get it. I see the purpose. Sometimes you just got to do it. So how big is the network today? So you got I Love Qatar, you've got Qatar events. And remember, when I first started, nobody wanted to help me out. Nobody wanted to do anything with us. But as we grew, our network and our reach also grew as well. We started to create lots of different brands. In fact, one of the events that I'm really proud of is Qatar Social, because this is a platform that gives any type of content creator, whether you're an artist, you're a singer, you're a video creator, doesn't matter who you are, a space so that you can go ahead and collaborate and share. And whether you have 1 subscriber or you have 1 million, everybody's equal. Now, recently, when I managed to go over, this of course before the pandemic actually, when I managed to go over to Google I.O., I met some of the really most amazing YouTubers ever. And you know what they all had in common? Nobody was worried about sharing their ideas. Nobody was worried about someone stealing or copying. Everybody was just so busy trying to live that collaborative spirit. And so that's what I tried to do. I tried to bring some of that attitude back and through Qatar Social. So there's also Team 974, and then we have the extended studio, the extended network. We created the social studio where we brought over some of the world's biggest, artists. We did, Doha Comedy Festival, we did Spring Festival, brought over different musicians. We supported, lots of different independent entities. These are not all logos and brands, that are under me, like Q Tickets isn't under me, QMIC isn't, these brands, so Social Studio is, so is Alex Klim, but those individual brands are part of the network where we all support and feed each other, with different content. So let me just go ahead and share, some quick facts. Whenever you watch maybe DJ Khalid or someone, he always says they say, right? Or they don't want you to succeed, or they don't want you. And there is a little bit of truth to that, right? People will always tell you that something won't work. But when they tell you that it won't work, it doesn't mean that it won't work for you. It means it won't work for them. You're not them, you're you. So when someone goes ahead and says that to you, you can say, thank you very much for the feedback. You want to share, a perspective, but do what is in your gut. Just do what you think is right. People told me that I was not going to succeed and that the project wasn't going to work. And what I was doing was too big. They literally said to me, my dream was too big. I'm sorry, there's a little bit of a sound. Give me a minute. They're drilling. Can you just go check on them, please? So they said my dream was too big. And then I was ranked, in as one of the 100 most powerful Arabs under 14. Like, again, I don't do things for the ranking. It's nice to be acknowledged, but I don't do things so that I am on a ranking list. Then later on, I got ranked again in an Arabian business. This is the amazing team, that we have around us that is behind Raqami TV. Raqami TV is now on YouTube alone is at 2.7 million subscribers, including all social platforms. We're over 5 million alone. We're on the path to 500 million views. And again, people said that Raqami TV wasn't going to work, and that's one of the biggest. And these are all the amazing individuals behind me. And I want to highlight that. I want to emphasize this. The reason why I've succeeded isn't because I've done everything on my own. The reason why I've succeeded is because I find and I work with some amazingly talented individuals, and our success is shared. It's thanks to all of us, working together. These individuals, most of them that you see behind this photo, they're based in Gaza. These individuals have to suffer with no electricity, with slow internet. In fact, with one of the individuals, one of the people who came, he said, listen, I wanted to volunteer. I wanted to do something. He said that he wanted to create a studio in Gaza. We're like, how are we going to do this? He said to me, listen, don't worry about it. We can set everything up for $500. I'm like, $500? How are you going to do this? He's like, just trust me. I said, okay, I trust you. He managed to set up a makeshift green screen. He managed to take bits of wood, working with his team to set up, his own spotlights. They ended up creating some content that was incredible. In fact, we ended up with that same content today, people comparing us to Al Jazeera. And guess what? We don't have Al Jazeera's budget. And all of this was thanks to just giving some people a chance, giving them the opportunity so that they can do what it is that they really are passionate about and they really want to do. Who would have thought that a channel that started in Qatar, working with people based in Gaza with very limited resources, would be one of the most influential tech channels in the world? We get more views and impressions on Facebook compared to Engadget or even The Verge. And you can go ahead and you can take a look at the public stats and you'll see it for yourself. When I asked some people that were based in Gaza, I said to them, listen, thanks, for working, and trying to work on this. How can I reward you? How can I help you? Do you know what they asked for? You want to guess? Not money. Some of them said, listen, all we need is just a generator so that we can have electricity at night. Some people don't ask for very much, but they give back so much more. And most people, including every single person that's watching right now, I really appreciate you all being a part of this. I know that nobody will disagree with me when I say that none of us want a free handout. None of us want something for free. What we want is a chance. Whether you're here in Qatar, whether you're in Palestine, whether you're in Iraq, or whether you're in Kuwait, it doesn't matter what, we just want a chance. Let us prove ourselves. Sometimes we want a chance, not because we don't have the resources, but we just want the people around us to just say, listen, just let me give it a go. And this is why I go back again and say, please do what makes you happy. So again, the reason why I put here, oh, and guess what, is because when I Love Qatar first got started, a lot of people told me, Khalifa, it wasn't going to work. Not the majority, but there were a lot of people. And it worked. Then when I worked on the next project, when I wanted to do Qatar events, a lot of people said to me, it's not going to work. And it worked. And then even when I got ranked on all of these different pages and, people calling me, saying, whether I'm influential or whether I'm on powerless and so on. When I went ahead and decided that I wanted to create a social studio and do some really amazing events, people said to me, it wasn't going to work. When we brought over Marshmallow, even in the chain smokers, people had said to me, Khalifa, these types of events, they only work when there's alcohol involved. When you do them in hotels. I'm like, no. Who said? They said, no, this is history. We brought them over, sold out venue with no alcohol. It worked. And then when I went ahead and decided that I wanted to create Raqami TV was supposed to get the funding. I didn't set it up, by the way. It was a gentleman named Nader. He started it. I was doing my own thing. Then I ended up buying into the company because a local business over here that was supposed, or local entity that was supposed to invest in it, decided to pull out the investment at the last minute. And they were planning on going to Abu Dhabi. And I was like, no, not another great idea that we lose. And again, when I decided to approach some people, they said it wasn't going to work. Now, one of the biggest. When I decided to set up Store 974, again, some people said, and the reason why I'm sharing this is because while things might get easier for yourself, you will always have haters. You will always have people who are negative around you. And you just need to learn to just flick that switch and just put them aside. Care about the people that care about you. Store 974, I had no experience in retail. I had no experience when it comes to the brands. It was really difficult. Can you please stop? So I had no experience at all with what I was doing. And now we're one of the biggest PC gaming brands in the country. In fact, we just recently got an award, in Germany. And again, I believe it's because I found the right team, I focused on the brand, and I focused on the experience. So here are some quotes and lessons that I live by real quick. I just want to share this. I don't want to go on too long. How many minutes do I have left? Or have I already gone over?
It's okay that you've gone over a little bit, maybe in like 2 more minutes.
Okay.
That's fine.
So this is a quote that I think everybody knows, right? Can you nod if you know this? A wise man learns from his mistakes. Do you know this quote? Yeah? This is only half the quote, by the way. This is the rest of it. A wiser man learns from others' mistakes. The fact that you guys are here, watching and trying to learn from others shows that you are trying to not repeat history. And it's okay to make your own mistakes, by the way. But again, sometimes you can avoid them by just learning from others. This is a lesson that I learned from my dad. My dad said to me one time, said, Khalifa, what's the purpose of going into a business meeting? I said, to do business. He's like, no. I said, to seal the deal. He's like, no. He said to me, the purpose of going to a business meeting is to walk out with a new friend. He said, forget about the work, forget about the business. Business will come. Friendships first. And this is something that I learned from my baby sister. And one day when I was laying down, I was watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And she comes up to me and she gives me a cup of water. I said, why do you give me a cup of water? She said to me, you look thirsty. I said, how do you know I look thirsty? I'm just laying down watching TV. She's like, I don't know, but it's nice to be nice. And that lesson taught me that you don't need a reason to do something nice because it's nice to be nice. And because of all of these lessons that I've learned, I learned from old people, from young people, from people who have millions, from people who have nothing at all. I now get to do stuff like this. Get to hang out with an awesome team. I get to get invited, with Hamid, we get to go places, like this is in Edinburgh, invited by the British Embassy. I get to get giveaways and stuff, from different YouTubers, that I get to collaborate with, get to interview people like Martha Stewart. I'm like, I never thought I would sit down with Martha Stewart. I get to, this is actually a video, but I get to take some really amazing footages, on the top of buildings. I get invited, by companies from all over the world. I get to invite different YouTubers so they can come hang out in my studio. Again, this is Qatar Airways, who had taken me, over to the Czech Republic. I got to hang out, with Trevor Noah, where he got to perform, really great shows. I get to wear Marvel masks in my office because it's my office and I decide what I do, and the rest of my team can do whatever they want as well. I got to hang out with MKBHD, when I went over, for a Samsung event, and I was building, my tech channel. I got to perform on a stage in front of a sold out show. And again, I never thought I would be a performer. I never thought that I would be creative. I didn't know what I was going to do, but because I just did what it is that I was passionate about, I got to do all of these really amazing things. So the last thing that I want to end it with is, guys, just ask yourself a question, a very simple question. How do you want to be remembered? How do you want to be remembered when you pass away? I always had this fear, and I still have this fear, that I would die young. When I was around 15, 16 years, I always thought, man, what if I die young? Now, while it's a negative thought, I always thought that I need to do as much as possible before I pass away. I just need to just do it all so that my family would be proud, my country would be proud, my friends would be proud, you know, my future kids would be proud. I just did something because I knew, like, when I pass away, you know, you're either going to be remembered as the person that was kind and helpful and gave back, or you would be remembered as the douche. And I didn't want to be remembered as douche. I wanted to be remembered as someone, you know, that always cared. So when I first started this presentation, I told you that I was going to talk about, you know, those millions. And now I'm going to end it with saying, who cares about 1 million likes, guys? Just do what makes you happy. And how are you going to change the world? Thank you. So does anybody have any questions?
Mr. Haroon, the chat is bombarded with questions from the participants. And I can tell they really enjoyed your presentation. However, due to time constraints, would it be possible for you to leave them your contact or something so that they can reach out to you with their questions?
No, I can't, because if I do that, I'm never going to respond on time, and I don't want to be that type of guy. I literally get over 1,000 messages a day, and I spend an hour every night to reply to people, and I always get people upset with me if I don't respond to them fast enough. So I would much rather prefer either, I mean, somebody can maybe you guys can collect those questions and I can try to answer them, because I want to be fair to everyone, or I can give someone a couple of questions, answer them. I mean, just skimming through this real quick, I can see that somebody's asked, do we have an internship program? Yes, we do. You can go onto our website, you can apply. Sir, you've inspired me. How? I don't know how. I hope so. Super Saf is the only guy he replies to. Nope, don't be negative, bro. Be positive. I reply to a lot of people. Very inspiring. Thank you so much, Kritika. I really appreciate that. Ima really wants to talk. She really wants to say something. So do you want to let her say something? She spammed a lot.
I'm so sorry, Ima, but because our next guest speaker is currently waiting now, I just don't want her to miss her next engagement. So I'm so sorry, but if it's fine, you can just put it in the chat for now.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'll try to answer people on the chat for now for a few minutes while the next person is coming up. No, not a problem.
Perfect. And just as a side note, the entire executive team are huge fans of you, Mr. Q. We're so glad to have you here today. And with that, I'll pass it over to Natalie.
Thank you so much. So now we'll be passing it on to our next guest speaker, Dr. Amina Hussain. She is the Chief Curator and Director of Programs at WISE, and her keynote is on youth empowerment and education for future changemakers. And Dr. Amina, I'm so sorry for the delay, but now the floor is yours. So we're very excited to hear your keynote. So you may go ahead now.